यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यामुनतीरवनचारी यामुनतीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे Hare Krishna. So thank you very much dear devotees for kindly assembling here. I would like to thank all the devotees within the management who have kindly organized this series of talks, specifically His Grace Damodar Prasad Prabhu and Nama Vrata Prabhu and also Sri Hari Vilas Maharaj, who has been kindly maintaining the entire temple and congregation so nicely. Also my sincere thanks to Srinivas Sharan Prabhu for kindly hosting us at their home so kindly. So tomorrow is Sri Ram Navami, and because tomorrow is Sri Ram Navami, therefore today we will speak about the birth of the unborn Lord. And we will analyze, which it is a very frequently analyzed verse, but we will analyze it in a much deeper way, which is janma karma cha me divyam, but a very deep analysis from the lens of Sri Jiva Goswami. So before we begin, there is a standard practice of Mangalacharan. Most of us already know these verses, you can kindly sing along with me. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले सोऽयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। But I just need to show a few verses. I am just referring to laptop for some Veda based verses. Those verses can be shown here. So dear devotees, we'll begin with Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse number 9. This verse is commonly known to many of us. So we can show chapter 4 verse number 9 on the screen, and then we will begin our explanation on, because tomorrow is Sri Ram Navami, and Ram Navami is appearance of the Lord. So it is very important to understand what is the exact meaning of appearance of Lord. And there is a very nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita which specifies that by understanding the appearance of Lord, one will become completely liberated. So that verse is Bhagavad Gita 4.9, and this verse is in front of us on the screen. I will chant the verse. You can kindly repeat along with me. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. So the verse is simple to understand if we understand the word for word meanings, and Krishna has said something in this verse. See, one thing is, in India, if you often ask people what is Bhagavad Gita, many people say, yeah, don't tell us, we know what is Bhagavad Gita. It's that book which we keep in a red cloth and open once a year to worship it. So, and Bhagavad Gita matlab kya? Karm karo, phal ki chinta mat karo. This is their definition of Bhagavad Gita. So if Krishna wanted to say Bhagavad Gita like that, Krishna would have said only one verse, not 700 verses. So he would have said to Arjun, hey Arjun, karm karo, phal ki chinta mat karo, iti Bhagavad Gita. Okay. That verse appears in the second chapter. And there are total of how many chapters in the Gita? 18 chapters in the Gita. So it's important that Gita should be understood in the words of the Gita. You know, and some people make up their own things in the Bhagavad Gita. Like Krishna says, be kind to your relatives in the Gita. Like, can you point out the verse number? No, he says, you don't know it, but I know it. Okay. So I hope you are, there are many misconceptions about what Bhagavad Gita is. It's important to understand Bhagavad Gita as it has been spoken by Krishna. So this is what we should try to do is, and what all traditional those who have understood the Bhagavad Gita traditionally, what they have tried to do is understand Bhagavad Gita in the exact words of the Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna's message should be understood directly by reading the words of Krishna. So these are the direct words of Krishna. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti soऽर्जुन. So what is the meaning of this verse? Very simple. Janma, my birth, karma cha, and my activities, my birth and activities are divyam, are transcendental. Evam, in this way, yah vetti, he who understands. Understands how? Theoretically, just by saying, oh, it is transcendental. No, not simply by calling it transcendental. Tattvataha, one who understands through tattva, through shastra, how my birth and activities are transcendental. Tyaktva deham, on giving up his deha, his body, punar janma na eti, he doesn't attain another birth. So what does he attain? Mam eti. Actually he attains me, saha, that person, Arjuna, oh Arjun, that person attains me only. So very simple verse, that my birth and activities are transcendental, one who understands them in tattva, through Shastra. On giving up his body, he does not attain another birth, he attains me. Very simple explanation. Now, what is understanding in tattva? How many of us would like to understand today what is Krishna's janma and karma in tattva? Would all of us like to understand? Because our acharyas have explained it in a very nice way. How Krishna's janma and how Krishna's karma are divya. See, what has the condition Krishna has put is not understand my janma and karma. No. The condition Krishna has put is understand my janma and karma as what? Divya. The one who understands this, that person doesn't have to take another birth in this painful material world. So, how do we understand Krishna's janma and karma are transcendental? So, for this, I would like to begin today's explanation on today's verse, and I would like to point out a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is 8th canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 8. This verse is explaining the secret of Krishna's janma and karma. So, canto 8, chapter 3, verse number 8. So, this particular verse, it occurs in Gajendra's prayers of surrender. So, in 8.3.8, Gajendra is saying something, and what Gajendra is saying is, it explains very clearly how Krishna's birth and activities are transcendental. I will try to sing this verse, kindly repeat after me. न विद्यते यस्य च जन्म कर्म वा न नाम रूपे गुणदोष एव वा तथापि लोकाप्ययसंभवाय यः स्वमायया तान्यनुकालमृच्छति. So these 4 lines, these are the ones which explain Krishna's birth and activities. See, Gajendra is saying something. I will explain the verse. It is very important to understand this Siddhanta. This is the verse which explains how Krishna's birth and activities are transcendental. And Krishna has promised in the Gita that one who understands them as transcendental will not take any birth again. So, please repeat after me. Na vidyate. Na vidyate means there do not exist. Yasya cha janma. And what is the meaning of janma? Birth. And karma va, and activity. So, there do not exist, his janma doesn't exist, his karma doesn't exist. Okay. Na nama rupe. He doesn't have a material nama, material name, material rupa, material form. Guna dosha. He doesn't have material good or bad qualities. Evava. Tathapi. Still. Loka apyaya. For the destruction of this material world. Sambhavaya, and creation. For the creation and destruction of this material world. Yaha. He. Swamayaya. Through his own energy. Tani anukalam richati. He constantly accepts all of these. Although he has no birth, no karma, no material name, no material form, no good or bad qualities, still for the purpose of creation and destruction of this universe, he constantly accepts all of these. I hope you are able to understand. So Gajendra is saying, does he have a janma? Does he have a birth? First line itself says he doesn't have a birth. Does he have karma? No. But Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, janma karma cha me divyam. So we have to try and understand what is janma, what is karma. So our Acharya Sri Jiva Goswami starts explaining. In Tattva we should understand. If we pay close attention, it will be very easy to understand. What is janma? What is the meaning of janma? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of janma? Taking a material body. Okay. That is our classic definition of janma. That accepting a material body is called as janma. Actually, janma means prathama vikar, first transformation. I hope you are able to understand what is the meaning of janma. Prathama vikar, first transformation. What is first transformation? So please try to understand, this is a very important subject matter in our Vedic philosophy, that in this material world, every object undergoes 6 transformations. How many transformations? 6. So does anybody know what are the 6 transformations?
Produces byproducts.
Oh, that is reproduction.
Yeah. And then dwindles and death.
Okay. Yeah. So there are 6 changes, shad vikar, that every object in the material world undergoes. For example, if we take any, let's take this harmonium. So it is an object which will undergo shad vikar, 6 transformation. First, jayate. Jayate means from non-existence it comes into existence. That is the first. It is called as jayate. This is the first transformation that any material object has. Second is asti. It stays like this for some time. Third is vardhate. It increases in size. Now somebody may say, how does the harmonium increase in size? Because if you see the harmonium, constantly there will be, even in a dead object, constantly there will be some deposit happening. Sometimes dust falls. So vardhate. Maybe very small increase in size, but it will increase in size. Fourth, viparinamate. It undergoes transformation. When it was bought, the color was fresh. After some time, some changes are there. Fifth is apakshiyate. It dwindles. Sixth is nashyati. It is completely destroyed. These are 6 changes that called as shad vikar, which are possible with every material object. Jayate is prathama vikar, first change that happens. So that is the meaning of janma. What is janma? Prathama vikar. So when a non-existent object comes into existence, when a non-existent entity comes into existence, it is called as janma. Okay, what is karma? We describe what is janma. Janma is first transformation in the material world. What is the definition of karma? Activity. Alright, karma means any activity. So Sri Jiva Goswami gives a wonderful definition also of karma. Please repeat after me. Apurnasya nija purti artha cheshta karma iti. Apurnasya, a person is feeling incomplete in his heart. Whatever that person does in order to feel complete is known as what? Karma. Apurnasya nija purti artha cheshta. If a person feels completely satiated in all ways, will he do anything? So apurnasya, because a person is feeling something. What is he feeling? Incomplete. Nija purti artha, in order to make himself feel complete. Cheshta, whatever activity he performs, that becomes known as what? Karma. So janma means prathama vikar, first transformation. Karma means apurnasya nija purti artha cheshta. What an incomplete person does to make himself complete is known as karma. So these 2 definitions we should remember. These are very nice definitions. Now, the question is, does Bhagavan have janma? Does Bhagwan have 6 transformations within this material world?
No.
No. Okay. But then, does Bhagwan not appear to take birth and grow like Lord Ram? Tomorrow his appearance is there. Did he not appear in this world? Yes. Did he not grow? Yes. Did he not, exhibit various karmas? Yes. So then why do we say that, why does Gajendra say na vidyate yasya cha janma karma va? That he has no birth or no activities. So that is very important to understand, because Bhagwan has one very important quality, and this important quality has a specific name. Please repeat after me. This name is called Viruddhartha. Viruddhartha means he is the harmonizer of opposite qualities. That is the meaning of Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the harmonizer of opposite qualities. Now, what do you mean by harmonizer of opposite qualities? In certain parts of the Shastra, Bhagwan is described in negative manners. For example, please, negative means negative doesn't mean negative in character. Negative means he doesn't have this, doesn't have this, doesn't have this. For example, in one Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Bhagwan is described as Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam. Ashabdam, he cannot be described by any sound. Arupam, he doesn't have any form. Asparsham, he cannot be touched. Avyayam, he doesn't change. Another Upanishad describes the same Lord in completely positive terms. Sarva karma, sarva kamaha, sarva gandha, sarva rasaha. He performs all activities. He has all desires. He has all fragrances. He has all rasas. Now, is this Shruti, which is describing him negatively, correct? Or this Shruti, which is describing him positively, correct? Is one Shruti correct? Or both of them are correct? Both are. Those Shrutis, those Upanishads which are describing him in negative manner, negatory fashion, they are also correct. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam. Those who are describing him in positive manner, sarva karma, sarva gandha, sarva rasa, they are also correct. But how can a person be simultaneously devoid of karma and also have karma? Is it possible? It is not possible. But it is possible only in the case of one person. Which person is it possible in the case of? Bhagavan. It is possible in the case of Bhagavan that he can have opposite qualities, but he has harmonized all of them. Now, in this world, you cannot harmonize two opposite qualities. Okay, if you flip a coin, it can only be one. Either it is heads or either it is tails. So, you cannot harmonize opposite outcomes. But in the spiritual world, it is possible to harmonize opposite outcomes. So, he doesn't have a janma, yet he has a janma. He doesn't have karma, yet he has a karma. How do we understand this? Once we understand this, Krishna has promised something in the Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvata. Okay, it will not be easy to understand, but we should understand. We should make an effort to understand through tattva. So, it's very important to understand how Krishna doesn't have a janma, yet has a janma. Therefore, his janma is divya. Is it with us? Do we have a janma? Yes. So, when we have a janma, it cannot be said that we are a janma. Okay? We cannot have two opposite qualities. Either we are sa janma with janma, or we are a janma. But so we are sa janma. Sa janma means we have a birth. But Bhagwan is sa janma as well as a janma. Both are simultaneously present in Bhagwan. How is it possible? So, for this reason, Sri Jiva Goswami explains in the Sandarbhas. Now, please hear carefully. So, first and foremost, janma is an activity of taking birth. Now, every activity in Sanskrit is called kriya. What is it called? Kriya. What is the meaning of kriya? Kriya means any activity. But if you analyze, let's take one activity. One activity, let's say pachati, cooking. Okay, is cooking an activity? Yes. So cooking is an activity. But if you analyze deeply, is cooking one activity? There are many sub activities within cooking. But the collection of all those sub activities together, when taken, becomes known as one activity. And what is that activity known as? Cooking. Pachati. Pachanam. Cooking. For example, what are the activities? First and foremost, you take a vessel, you clean it, then you fill some water, then you lit the stove, put the vessel on the stove, then add a few ingredients, then you stir, then you wait for, many activities are involved. This is called as pachanam, cooking. So many sub activities are involved in the activity of cooking. Now, let me say this thing. For example, if Prabhuji, you start cooking, you have a stove and it has two, or you'd say that it has three, what is it called? Three burners on it. So you have three burners on a stove. Now you start cooking and you put it on one stove and you are cooking, and before this finishes cooking, you put the same thing on a second burner and you start cooking there, and this finishes, so you serve it, and then now this one is cooking. So when this one is cooking, before this finishes cooking, you immediately put a third one. Will your cooking ever finish? Will it be called many cooking activities or one entire activity of cooking? One entire activity of cooking. I hope you are able to understand. So this is also the case with Krishna. Before his janma, before his birth in this world ends, he has already taken a birth somewhere else. I hope you are able to understand. And before that birth ends, he has already taken a birth somewhere else. So there are many universes in which Krishna is taking birth. So before the birth in one universe completes, the process of taking birth in one universe completes, the process of taking birth in another universe has started. And before that process completes, the process of taking birth in a third universe has started. Before that completes, the process of taking birth in a fourth universe has started. There are unlimited universes, and Krishna is simultaneously taking birth in many of them. So, will the process of taking birth ever get complete? Or what it means is Krishna is also currently taking birth in certain universe. I hope you are able to understand. So this janma, does the activity ever get complete? No. If the activity never gets complete, can it be called vikar? Because vikar is something which attains completion. First vikar is janma. But this is not a vikar because this is constantly going on. It is one constant process. So it is not called as vikar. Why? Because it is constantly taking place in many universes. And how is it explained somewhere like that in the Shastra? Yes, it is explained. I would like to point out a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in 10th canto, chapter 3, verse number 7 and 8 are there. So these two verses, 10th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 7 and 8. In this, the appearance of Lord Krishna is described, and this verse we can try to pull it out on the screen, 10.3.7 and 10.3.8. We will focus on verse number 8, the last two lines. Please repeat after me. Devakyam devarupinyam Vishnu sarva guhashayah आविरासीद यथा प्राच्याम दिशींदूर इव पुष्कलः. देवक्याम, in Devaki, Devarupinyam, she was Devarupini, she was like a goddess. Who appeared? Vishnu, our Lord Krishna appeared. Sarva Guhashayah, he is the super soul within everybody. but he appeared from Devaki's womb. Avir Asid, he appeared just like, please hear carefully, Yatha Prachyam, in the eastern direction. Dishindur iva Pushkalah, just like the moon appears in the eastern direction. This analogy is very important. Just like the moon appears in which direction? Yeah. The appearance of moon, does it happen one time or is it a constantly occurring process? I hope you are able to understand. Why was the analogy given? Just like the moon arises in the eastern direction, because the moon is constantly arising in the eastern direction somewhere in the world. Is the moon not arising somewhere in the world at this point of time? And when the moon has arisen here, there will be some other place where the moon is rising, and when there also the moon has risen, there is some other place where the moon will rise. So the process of rising of moon is constant, or is it broken down? Can it be broken down into certain pieces? No, it is one constant activity. Therefore the appearance of Lord Krishna or the appearance of Lord Ramachandra as it is tomorrow, it is a constant activity. Therefore this activity, he doesn't have a birth, but he appears just like the moon appears in the eastern horizon. So this sort of activity is called as Divya. What is it called as? Divya. It is Divya because it is transcendental to our birth. Our birth, once we appear here, so Prabhuji, once you have appeared here, are you simultaneously appearing somewhere else? No, no. You are sure 100% you are here only? Huh? So once you are sure that your appearance is in only one place, so our appearance cannot be compared to the moon, but Krishna's appearance is compared to the moon. Now, I would like to point out how can multiple Krishnas appear simultaneously, So it is very much possible, because there is one very important siddhanta behind this. And the important siddhanta behind this is that actually Krishna does not appear from, it's not that Krishna physically descends from the spiritual world unto the material world. Actually Krishna was already present. Is Krishna present here? Yes. In the form of Paramatma? Is Krishna present here in his personal form as Bhagwan? In his personal deity, I agree. As Bhagwan, is he present between you and me? No. No. Is he present with his hands and legs between you and me? Are you sure? If I prove to you that he is present between you and me, will you agree? Okay. With a rational mind. Okay. Using all rational faculties, if I prove that he is present between the space between you and me. So I'll explain. There is a very nice story behind this, but I'll explain the Siddhanta also, but I'll tell a very nice story. Once in Sri Rangam, it was raining very heavily. It was very heavily raining. There was one alvar who was, trying to protect himself from the rain. So he found a small cottage nearby. It was a very small room. And he entered into the room. There was nobody inside. He closed the door. And he was lying down inside to protect himself. He protected himself from the rain. He was lying down inside. And it was completely pitch dark inside. Nothing could be seen. So after some time, there was a knock on the door. So he said, "Who's there?" So there was another alvar, another devotee. He said, "I am a sevak, I am a das of Sri Vishnu. Please open the door." So this devotee who was inside, he said, "But there is only enough space for one person to lie down." So this devotee who was outside said, "If there is enough space for one devotee to lie down, then there should be enough space for two to sit. Can you please open the door?" So I said, "Okay." So I opened the door. So this second devotee came in. And then they closed the door. And both of them were sitting. Suddenly there was another knock. So there was third Alvar who came. He said, I want to protect myself from rain. I said, there's only place for two to sit. If there's place for two to sit, then there's place for three to stand. You know? So please open the door. So he opened the door. And the three were standing together. So they were, three of them were standing. Now one of them said, well, I have a flint stone. You know what is a flint? Which you can light. Huh? So let's try to light some small lamp inside. There was a lamp. Let's try to light a lamp inside. So using a flint stone, they tried to light a lamp. As soon as they lit the lamp, between three of them, they saw Lord Narayan. Because even when there is no place for a person to stand between these three, there is still one person who was present between these three, was Lord Narayan. So because of the association of three close devotees, the Lord manifested his presence there. So my question is Bhagavan present between you and me? Originally, you have said no. Okay, Prabhu? Let's note this answer. Okay. Now let me take you to Dwarka. In Dwarka, at one point of time, Narad Muni was visiting. And Narad Muni visiting, he saw Lord Krishna was getting married. And Lord Krishna was marrying how many princesses at that point of time? Does anybody know? 16,000 princesses Krishna was marrying. And was he marrying one by one? Was like 60, it was like, was he marrying one by one, or did Narad Muni see 16,000 simultaneous marriages? It is described in the Bhagavatam that when Narad Muni saw 16,000 simultaneous marriages, Narad Muni almost fainted by looking at it. He was so surprised, flabbergasted by looking at 16,000 simultaneous marriages. Our Acharya say, wait. Prabhuji, why should Narad Muni become astonished on seeing 16,000 simultaneous marriages? Acharya say, pause right there, pause. There is something very important here. Narad Muni is a perfected Siddha Mahatma. Everybody agrees? Yes? And a perfected Siddha Mahatma knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And perfected Siddha Mahatmas also know that yogis can also take multiple forms. Can yogis not take multiple forms? Obviously they can take. When Narad Muni saw multiple forms of Krishna getting married, why Narad Muni was almost about to faint? What is the reason that Narad Muni was almost about to faint? There should be some reason. We should try to analyze in depth why it was that Narad Muni tried to faint at that, he was almost fainting at that time. So please hear the explanation carefully by Srila Jiva Goswami. So Prabhuji, I would like to ask you, Krishna, there were 16,000 Krishnas? So which one was original? One should have been original, na? And all others are called as what? Expansion. So was it the case that one of them was original and remaining 15,999 were expansions? Huh? Simultaneously same person? Matlab 16,000 supreme personalities of Godhead? Huh? So the term used is Prakash Vigraha. Which is the term used? What is Prakash Vigraha? Expansion. Because expansion means something. Expansion means there is one original from whom something expands. So then the original remains original and the expansion is called as Amsha. What is the term used for expansion? Amsha. Now, this is not, they are not Amshas. The technical term used for them is Prakash, which means they had not emanated from one body of Krishna. 16,000 manifested. And not only that, a yogi can also manifest how many forms? 8 or 9 forms. But they are basically Amshas, they are expansions from his original body. And this was not the case here. These were not expansions. And all 16,000 were not that robotic motion. Everybody is following the same thing, Everybody is, putting the garland simultaneously. It's not like that. They were not controlled by a algorithm written in Python. Okay, so that was not how these various replicas were. The actual term is replicas. There were 16,000 replicas, and every replica had its own ego. Ego matlab samajhe, its own true ego. That I am currently accepting a garland. I am holding the hands with a queen. I am currently honoring food with one queen. So every own ego. When Narad Muni saw that, Narad Muni almost fainted. The reason was that, and very simple question: how many Krishnas appeared from the womb of Devaki? Because Devaki is one, Vasudeva is one. So obviously, how many Krishna appeared from the womb of Devaki and Vasudeva? Where did this remaining 15,999 appear from? Where did we have 15,999 Devakis and 15,999 Vasudevs?
Unless this pastime is happening in multiple universes.
No, but it is happening in one universe. So where, Prabhuji, where did the remaining 15,999 Krishnas come from?
Lord has inconceivable power, so you can
Expand. You are falling into the expansion wala trap. Huh? See, it's very clear that these were not expansions. An expansion has certain features different from the original. This is one rule of expansion. One rule of Amsha is that he has to be slightly different from the Amshi, from the original. This is not Amsha Amshi Bhav. This is not original and expansion. The relationship between these Krishnas were not that one of them was original. Expansion, if you want to see the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Krishna expanded into all the calves and cowherd boys, and every one of them was different from Krishna. Yes or no? Yes. So expansion is a different thing. Here it is not expansion. Therefore, I am using the term replica. Where did the 15,999 replicas come from?
and it's the same in the Rasalila.
Same in the Raslila. Agreed, but Narad Muni did not enter there. Narad Muni saw in Dwarka. Where did the remaining 15,999 come from? So Narad Muni realized that they never appeared. They were always there. Krishna simply switches off, and when required, Krishna switches. I hope you are able to understand. Even today, is he there between you and me? But can we see? Because it is Prakat Leela or Aprakat Leela. That is what made Narad Muni faint at that moment. That actually he realized, his understanding till that point of time was that Krishna is present in an impersonal manner in all the space. But when he saw this, Narad Muni understood that no. Sarvato pani padam te. Everywhere are his hands and feet. When that was realized by Narad Muni, then Narad Muni almost fainted. So, dear devotees, does Krishna take birth or he simply switches himself on? I hope it is understood. Therefore, janma karma cha me. And when it is time for him to disappear, does he die or does he simply disappear? Switch off. Switch on, switch off. At this point of time, it is which yuga? Dwapar yuga or Kali yuga? So the switch is off or on. But when it will be Dwapar yuga again, on the 28th day, 28th cycle of yugas, once again the switch will be on. Then from Aprakat Leela, it turns into which Leela? Prakat Leela. That is the secret of Krishna's appearance. Krishna is present between you and me. Krishna can be present when one person is sleeping in a room where only one person can sleep. Krishna can be present when two people are sitting in a room where only two can sit. Krishna is present where three people are standing in a room where three can stand. And Krishna can also be present when there is no more space remaining. The fourth person was present in that room. That was Bhagwan himself. Similarly, tomorrow is the appearance day of Lord Ramchandra. When is the appearance? Tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening? When is the appearance? Tomorrow? So, let's for the sake of clarity, let's say tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon in which time zone, Prabhuji? Will Lord Ramchandra appear? Yes. He appears according to Seattle time. You are celebrating in Seattle time, na? Afternoon, evening, whatever. So he appears in Seattle time in evening. Is it correct to observe it like this? But you calculate muhurta according to Seattle location. That is what how you calculate muhurta.
No, but that muhurta is same across the entire earth. It's just calculated based on the local time.
See, when Lord Ram appeared, he appeared in one particular moment. Na? There must have been night in Seattle and day in India. I hope you are able to understand. Why don't you celebrate exactly according to Indian afternoon? Ayodhya time. Ram Navami should be observed according to which time? Ayodhya time. So that should be the time of celebration of Ram Navami. Why are we celebrating it according to our time? Just because it is convenient for us? Because we understand, not only tomorrow, at this moment also, Bhagwan Ram is taking birth. Is he taking birth in our universe or some other universe? Some other universe. Actually, every day is the appearance of the Lord. But on a certain day, because historically on a certain day it is recorded that he appeared. So therefore, we celebrate historically close to that day. That is known as appearance of the Lord. We celebrate it. But the fact is, even today, even right now, in a certain universe, Bhagwan is appearing somewhere. Ram Navami is happening somewhere in some universe. But we will celebrate tomorrow because tomorrow also in some universe, Ram Navami will be taking place. So we celebrate that. Most importantly, there is a place where Bhagwan should appear, and that place is the heart. It is very important for Bhagwan to appear in this location. So, in the heart of the devotee, it is very important that Bhagwan should appear. Now, somebody may say, Kiyare, is this your speculation, Hari Parshad Das? Or are you speaking this from some previous authority? So, I am not speculating, I am speaking from some previous authority. I will quote Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Please hear this carefully, because Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur says something in one of his literature named as Sri Krishna Samhita. So in Krishna Samhita, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur says something, and please note this thing. In Krishna Samhita, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, according to the devotee's qualification, please hear because it will not be on the screen, please hear. According to the devotee's qualification, at a particular time, Krishna is taking birth in some devotee's heart. He is stealing gopis' clothes in another devotee's heart. He is performing the rasa dance in someone's heart. He is killing Putana in someone's heart. He is killing Kamsa in someone else's heart. He is having an affair with Kubja in yet another's heart. And he enacts his disappearance in the heart of some other devotee. I hope you are able to understand. Mainly, when Krishna has left this world, all these pastimes take place in the heart of the pure devotee. So on a certain day also, we who are following in the footsteps of the pure devotee, we also try to emulate, not exactly imitate, not imitate, but we emulate the behavior of a pure devotee by praying the Lord to appear where? Because if you pray, oh Lord Ramachandra, appear today on earth, Lord Ramachandra will have only one thing to say. What will he say? Which yuga is it? Which time are you asking me to appear? Is it on my schedule? Or you are asking me to appear out of schedule? I will not appear out of schedule. So where should I appear? Lord Ramachandra will ask you, Prabhuji. What answer do you have to give? Ah, yeah. Because in your heart you can recreate Treta Yuga. In the external world you may not be able to. But in your heart you can recreate Treta Yuga. If you have the... Huh?
So when we say heart, yesterday also I had this question. Is it in the, because the mind is also seated in the heart, right? So is it in the mind actually?
Basically, Smaran is a function of what? Mind. Heart is the seat of samskaras and previous memories. So both of them work in conjunction with each other. So you need both. Heart is where, mind is where you remember. Heart is where you experience the rasa. Where do you experience the rasa? In the mind or in the heart? In the heart of the devotee, the rasa is there. So both are needed. Mind is needed to bring forth recollection, remembrance. Heart is needed to experience the rasa. Happiness, distress, etc. is mainly experienced in which location in the body? Heart. And remembrance of previous thoughts is carried out in which location in the body? The mind. So it's not only important to remember Smaran, but also to do ras aswadan, to extract rasa out of the remembrance and then to relish bhakti ras. Because that is the point of all of one's bhakti practice, to relish bhakti ras. If one is able to do this, then one has succeeded in his bhakti practice. Everything that we are doing is for relishing rasa. Says who? Says Bhagavatam. Nigama kalpatarorgalitam phalam shukamukhadamritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam. There it is your injunction. What are you supposed to do in life? Relish bhakti rasa. If you can do that, that is the success of celebrating the appearance of Lord. I hope you are able to understand. The Lord has already appeared in Treta Yuga. He will not appear in Kali Yuga. We were discussing the verse. He is known as one name. What is his name? Tri Yuga. Tri Yuga means he doesn't appear in one Yuga. Which Yuga does he not appear in? Kali Yuga. Why are we celebrating Ram Navami then? Where should he appear on Ram Navami? In the heart of the devotee. He appears in the heart of the pure devotee. We are followers. We emulate the path of the pure devotee. We can't imitate the path, but we emulate the path of the pure devotee. Somehow by his mercy, it may be possible that we may be able to get the same result as the pure devotee. That the Lord may also appear within our heart. If that result we get, then that is the success of our celebration of Ram Navami or Janmashtami or any appearance day of the Lord. Because in Kali Yuga, the Lord is not going to appear very easily in front of the eyes. That Siddhanta we have already discussed previously. So this is janma. But Krishna has said not only janma, one should also understand what? Karma. So this was janma explanation. So I will also now speak something about karma. How did Srila Jiva Goswami explain karma? Does anybody remember? What is the definition of karma? Apurnasya nija purti artha cheshta. A person is feeling incomplete. Whatever a person does to complete himself becomes known as what? Karma. A person feels incomplete. But whatever a incomplete person does to make himself feel complete is known as karma. Does everybody agree with the definition? Did we meditate on the definition? Any activity that an incomplete person does to complete himself or herself becomes known as what? Karma. You've seen alligators, they are lying quietly in the river. For a lot of time they lie quietly. Because they don't feel apurna. Their hunger is satisfied. When do alligators again start moving? They are hungry. If they would not feel hungry, if they would feel ever satisfied, how would they remain? Same position. Their minds are very tiny. Alligator mind it's not a very developed mind. So alligator has only one thought in his mind. Alligator does actions mainly when it has a desire to eat. So apurnasya nijapurti artha cheshta. Whatever activities is done in order to make an incomplete person complete becomes known as karma. Now question is there anything left for Bhagavan to achieve? Anything? Does Bhagwan feel incomplete in any way? Is there anything left for Bhagwan to achieve? Why will Bhagwan perform karma then? Ah, to set an example. But he doesn't, he can send somebody to do that. Can't he empower a jiva? Call it Shakti Avesh. That's what Shakti Avesh is, right? Shakti Avesh is a jiva who is invested with the energy of Bhagwan, and he carries out the task of Bhagwan on the behalf of Bhagwan. That is what a Shakti Avesh is. Parshurami Shakti Avesh. Parshuram is not Vishnu Tattva, is Jiva Tattva. Jiva Tattva invested with the Kshatriya Shakti. So then, obviously, Parshuram can carry out the tasks on behalf of Krishna. So why would Krishna personally come? That he can also arrange through a person. To please the devotees. But is there any of his personal desire involved in this? Because he is fully, his devotees are in the spiritual world also. Where are the majority of the devotees? Where are the best devotees located? Why would Bhagavan do something when he is already fully satiated? But he doesn't have that personal desire. Like his...
It's to satisfy the desire of the devotee.
Okay. But our definition of karma is apurnasya nijapurti artha cheshta. A person who feels apurna, incomplete, what he does in order to complete himself, that is karma. Doing something for somebody else, that is called dan, charity basically. Does Bhagavan have karma? By this definition, does Bhagavan have karma? Because he is Purna Kama, all his desires are fulfilled. He cannot have any karma. Yet Bhagavan performs karma in this world. Why does Bhagavan perform karma? Swabhav? No, because a person who is fulfilled in all ways, by his swabhav he will become satisfied. Paritranaya sadhunam, that is for the sadhus. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, that is for the dushkrit. Dharma samsthapanaya, that is for dharma. What about his own desire? Huh? That is for others. Audarya is mean giving somebody, na? Udarta.
But he is experiencing pleasure.
Okay. That's a very esoteric reason that he wanted to experience Radharani's power. I understand that. Okay, I will explain. Why am I not agreeing, although all of your answers are correct, but I am not agreeing with it because there is one very special reason why Krishna does all of these things. And Srila Jiva Goswami explains this. A person also performs karma when he is so overly happy that he becomes blissful. I hope you are able to understand. He gives one example of this. Please hear this verse and repeat after me. सृष्टि आदिकं हरेर्नैव प्रयोजनम् अपेक्ष्यतु कुरुते केवल आनन्दात् यथा मत्तस्य नर्तनम्. Jiva Goswami explaining in this Bhagavad Sandarbh. Srishti Adikam, whatever purposes you are giving to rescue devotees, to create the world, to destroy the world, for giving bhakti and all these reasons. Harir naiva prayojanam ape. It is not Hari's prayojan. It is everybody else's prayojan. It is for everybody else. It is not his personal prayojan. Apekshatu, he has no personal desire for this. But still, Kurute keval anandat. He does because he is not only satisfied, he is overflowing with joy. Prabhuji, suppose today you feel satisfied, completely satisfied. What will you do? No, no. So let's say you're completely satisfied. Nothing left to achieve. Will you not sit in one place? Yes. Let's say the satisfaction increases more and more. You start feeling happy and blissful, much more blissful. It's radiating from each and every limb of your body. Like you're feeling, what will you do?
How to express happiness?
Ah, yatha mattasya nartanam. Like Jiva Goswami says, like a person who's maddened with happiness. What does he do? He starts dancing around. That's the reason why Krishna performs his karma. Not because he has any personal desire. The happiness is oozing out of each and every part of his existence. Ladini Shakti is overflowing from each and every aspect of his existence. When that happens, when a person who is matta, who is maddened with happiness dances, what is the reason for his dance, Prabhu? There's no reason for his dance. He dances only because he is very happy. I hope you are able to understand. This is the reason for Krishna's karma. He doesn't perform karma because he is apurna. Apurnasya nijapurti artha cheshta karma. A person who is feeling incomplete, in order to make himself feel complete, he performs karma. But Krishna's karma is not because he is feeling apurna. In fact, Krishna is purna. Not only is purna, he is experiencing overflow of joy. And because of that, just as a maddened person who's overflowing with joy starts dancing, similarly, Bhagavan also, out of his overflowing bliss, carries out various activities. I hope you are able to understand. So, dancing like this joyously and performing karma like this, can it be truly called karma? No, because karma technically means apurnasya nijapurti artha cheshta. A person is feeling incomplete, his activities are known as karma. This is karma, but it is not karma, because it is not karma in the traditional sense. Therefore, janma karma cha me divyam. It is karma, but it is not karma. It is janma, but it is not janma. Therefore, since it is janma and non-janma simultaneously, it is called divya janma. Since it is karma and non-karma simultaneously, it is called as divya karma. And one who understands both of these through tattva, like Jiva Goswami explained, then having understood this, please remember this siddhanta. How Bhagavan takes janma. Does Bhagavan take janma? Is his janma a single activity or a constant activity? Constant activity. Therefore, his janma is divya. He is taking janma, but he is not taking janma. His karma, is it a single activity or a constant activity? And does he perform karma because he is feeling incomplete or he is feeling overly joyous? Therefore, that is the reason for performing his karma. One who understands it in this way, tyaktva deham, after giving up his body, punarjanma na eti, that person will not attain another birth. Mam eti, he will attain me. Saha Arjuna, O Arjuna. Please keep this siddhanta revised and refreshed in your hearts, because forgetting this siddhanta is a big loss. And remembering this siddhanta is a very big gain that one can have. This was explained very beautifully by Srila Jiva Goswami. Bhagavan is the harmonizer of opposite qualities. He doesn't accept janma, yet he accepts janma. He doesn't accept karma, yet he accepts karma. Therefore, his janma and karma are not adivya. They are divya, transcendental. We have heard the verse, Ugram Viram Mahavishnum Jvalantam Sarvatomukham Nrisimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityum Namamyaham. Where is this verse from? This verse is from Nrisimha Tapani Upanishad. In that same Nrisimha Tapani Upanishad, the verse is explained. Would you like to hear the explanation of the verse? Ugram Viram. The explanation of the verse is as follows. Please repeat after me. Ugram, Anugram, Viram, Aviram, Mahantam, Amahantam, Vishnum, Avishnum, Sarvatomukham, Asarvatomukham. I hope you are able to understand how the Shruti is explaining Bhagavan. He is Ugram. Ugram means what? Fierce. And at the same time, he is what? Anugram. Absolutely gentle. How can he be fierce and gentle simultaneously? See Narsimhadev. How does he appear? Ferocious. And He is Anugram. Viram, very brilliant. Aviram, cowardly. Where? Huh? To Yashoda Maya. See, in front of Kaliyavan, what did Krishna do? That same person who says in Bhagavad Gita, Yuddhe Chapya Palayanam, that a Kshatriya should never show his back in a war. What did that same Acharya of Bhagavad Gita do in front of Kalyavan? Showed his back? Yes or no? Huh? So somebody should stop him and ask, what are you doing? You are Acharya? What is definition of Acharya, Prabhu? Achinoti yah shastrartham. One who picks meanings from Shastra and shows in his personal example, that person is known as what? Acharya. Krishna is Acharya. So, he is Acharya, but unless he harmonizes opposites in his character, he will not truly become Bhagavan. Mahantam. What is Mahantam? All pervasive. Amahantam. Localized. He is all pervasive, at the same time he is localized in one place. Yes, is Krishna not all pervasive? Is he present between you and me? In his all pervasive form or in a localized form? Both forms. Sarvatomukham, everywhere are his faces. Yes, asarvatomukham, but his face is not everywhere. Is it true? Yes, which direction is Krishna not facing? When Mother Yashoda is looking angrily at him, he is not looking in one direction. Which direction is that? He is sarvatomukham. At the same time, when Mother Yashoda angrily glanced upon him, he became asarvatomukham. He could not look in the eyes of Mother Yashoda. So dear devotees, in this way all opposites are harmonized. We should understand this in Tattva. One who understands, keeps this Tattva in his heart, Siddhantas in his heart, that person is eligible for liberation. That is his last birth in the material world. So more we understand this, the more we are eligible for returning back home, back to Godhead. This promise is given by Krishna himself. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. Not only theoretically, through tattva understanding, through Shastra, tyaktva deham, on giving up his body, punar janma naiti, he doesn't attain punar, mameti, so Arjuna. Yes, thank you.
So just, maybe time for
we
question.
can pause here, we can start taking questions, yes.
So again, just elaborating on the word tattva, and then you said it's not theoretical, but through Shastra.
Shastra is not blind. Like Krishna said, janma karma cha me divyam, and I memorized like a parrot the word divya. And somebody asked me, what is Krishna's janma and karma? And I, like a parrot, I say it is divya. Yeah, but how is it divya? You have to show that it is non-material. It is transcendental to the birth of material objects. So Jiva Goswami starts with saying how material objects take birth. Shadvikar, jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. Then Jiva Goswami says actually even jayate is not complete in him. Why? Because jayate is one process or a continuously ongoing process with Krishna. Continuously ongoing process. If it is a continuously ongoing process, does Krishna attain Shadvikar ever? No. Therefore, is Krishna's birth material or non-material? An analogy is used to explain that. Dishyundur iva pushkala, like the moon arises in which direction? Eastern. Yes. Moon's birth is not described. Moon's arising is described. That analogy is it's not complete. It's a partial analogy, but it helps you to understand the original. All analogies are imperfect in the material world. Any analogy you take are imperfect in the material world. Still, the analogy helps you to understand what is the real nature of the entity. So just like the moon arises in the eastern direction. Is the moon arising right now?
Yes.
In Seattle?
Not in Seattle.
Somewhere. So, the analogy helps you to understand. Similarly, Krishna's birth is a continuously ongoing process. It will never end. And a process which never ends is one. The material world will end. But one process will never end. Krishna's constant taking of birth. It supersedes even the existence of material world. Therefore, janma divyam. I hope this is understanding through tattva.
So then, So the tattva, as I again understand in my own words, maybe is like comprehending
how it is.
how it is,
how it is.
So that
In reality, how it is non-material.
correct.
Through and not through one speculation. Through
Through
Shastra explanations.
Shastra,
how
through-
to understand that it is non-material. That is Tattva understanding.
So the next question is that sufficient, or is there a realization part of it that eventually is needed to actually achieve?
That is sufficient. That is क्या कहते हैं, bare minimum 40% marks for crossing over. आप समझ रहे हैं? पुनर्जन्म नैति. That's only. Mameti. It'll attain me. But please note, this realization is now class is going on. Once class is over, once we go home. I also, when I first time I heard it, after a few months I forgot. Then I said, no, I have forgotten a very important thing. Krishna had promised something of relate. I should go back and I should also read. So I also have to refresh that knowledge within my heart, because it's very easy to forget. Right now also I am reading, I am taking help of one or two quotes. Like this one which the mad person is dancing. This quote I haven't yet to memorize, but I will memorize. So as much as I can keep within my heart, it is very important, because it's very easy to forget some important siddhantic details. So it's very important to keep yourself refreshed from time to time. That janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah. Then there is beyond that. Once you understand janma and karma, and you have sambandha gyan, then you start relishing a specific rasa, then that is basically you are entering into the platform of raga bhakti. That will give you higher destinations. So that is somebody's personal desire and somebody is qualified for that. Definitely, why not? They should go higher and higher. But at least bare minimum we should tell people what is the bare minimum eligibility to enter into the spiritual world, is at least understand in tattva how Bhagavan's janma and karma is not material, it is transcendental.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Prabhuji. So I questioned for tomorrow Ram Navami. So in India we do breakfast in the afternoon, and here we do evening mostly. Some people they do some devotee afternoon. So which one is afternoon or evening? I mean,
Is it afternoon or is it evening?
Yeah.
Evening. Okay. So the thing is, there was an entire paper written about it. The issue reached the Shastrik Advisory Committee, and the Shastrik Advisory Committee was asked to write a paper about it. So yesterday also I got asked this question. So I will read to you, because a lot of research was done on the paper, and research from all the sampradayas, including the texts of the Ramanandi Sampradaya, who are very much believe in Lord Ramachandra as their supremely worshipable deity. So they and Shri Sampradaya, they all of them have collected the texts which describe appearance of Lord Ramachandra. There it was described that Lord Ramachandra appeared in the noon. Yet at the same time, within our ISKCON society, many times instructions from Prabhupada are for evening. So the paper was compiled. I am reading to you what are the observations and what are the recommendations given in the paper. As explained in the paper, Lord Ramchandra appeared at noon. If the appearance time is not known in any particular center, the fasting can be completed at noon or later, on which a special arthric ceremony can be offered to the Lord. So, a particular temple should decide, because Shastra, according to the quotes from Shastra were given, that Lord Ramchandra appeared at noon time. Still, a particular temple may decide that we want to celebrate in evening, because on many occasions Srila Prabhupada said celebrate in evening. That is the freedom of every temple, that every leader can decide whether they want to follow what was given traditionally in Shastra or what was the recommendation of Srila Prabhupada. We just put all the cards on the table. This is what it is. Now you please read all the pramanas. You can decide which paksha or which side you want to follow. Will there be fault in following any paksha? Like if we follow Srila Prabhupada's narrations, description, then will it be a fault that we are not completing the fast in noon? Or if we complete the fast in noon, will there be a fault of not following Srila Prabhupada? So the answer is also there. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has called it Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. What is Udit Anudit Hom Nyay? In Shastra, there are certain sections of the Vedas which say Udite Hotavyam. Offer oblations in fire after sun has risen. In some other sections in Shastra, it says Anudite Hotavyam. Offer oblations in fire before the sun rises. Which one should we follow? Before sun rises or after sun rises? So Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. That stick to one particular instruction, and the negative reaction of the other instruction will not affect you. In Shastra, this is called as Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. So let nobody say that, because you are following this side, therefore the not following that side will be negative for you. That nobody can say. Because Shastra itself says Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. So you are following one authority. One authority, if you follow nicely, then it is very. I'll give another example of this. In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, 64 limbs of bhakti are described. One limb of bhakti is accepting prasad, naivedya offered to the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami says there, one can accept prasad, but one should never accept prasad in front of the Lord. Jiva Goswami. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments and cuts the point. You can accept prasad in front of the Lord, no problem. But you should not eat pan in front of the Lord. Now, Prabhuji, tell me, who are you with? You can read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the commentary you can read. Now tell me, whose side are you going to be with? How do you resolve this difficulty? So, Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. Take sides with one Acharya while keeping respect for the other Acharya. And the negative reaction of not following the instruction of other Acharya will not affect you. That is Udit Anudit Hom Nyay. Very simple. It's also there in the Vedas. It's also there in all of our tradition. We should understand how to resolve these differences. It's a very easy way to resolve. Okay?
One more question, Prabhuji. So we do Sarad. In Sarad, like someone asked me actually. So he said, like we do Sarad to Pitra. If Pitra is not there, then where does Sarad go? If Pitra take a next body.
If Pitra is not there, where does the Shraddha go?
Where Shraddha go?
That question seems like the question of a rationalist. You can easily, my Guru Maharaj answered this question. My Guru Maharaj, Sri Srimad Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj, he answered this question. He said, when you deposit a check in the bank, is the receiver present there? In front of you? No. Is the receiver present in front of your eyes? No. But you deposit a check in the bank. Can it be encashed anywhere in the world? Yes. If such a system exists in the human society, can't such a system exist in other societies? Obviously. Human society doesn't control birth and death. But there are other societies who are controlling birth and death. Those societies automatically ensure that when Shraddha is offered here, that person may be in some other body, but in some other body, in some other form, he will receive equivalent amount of nourishment through certain food. I hope you are able to understand. So that should be clearly noted by us. That if they are in Pitralok, they can receive directly. Let's say if they are not in Pitralok, but they have taken some other body, in some way or the other, they will definitely receive whatever we have offered to them. Thank you. You wanted to say something first? Answered. No?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So just wanted to understand. You said Lord appears or Lord take birth because of the his own over bliss and all that. And second part is like he's again dependent for his bhaktas. Like his karma is like more adhin, bhakta adhin. Like he's very much kind of dependent. Like Sudamaji or anyone we see bhaktas, he's still very dependent. He can pick the chariot's wheel and run and do all that stuff. So how can we understand that like his doing karma with overjoy of bliss and all that, and plus he's still bound to his bhaktas. So
first and foremost, there is no question of karma for Bhagwan. Karma phala. Karma as in karma phala doesn't exist for Bhagwan. Karma and karma phala exists only for the jivas. There are many meanings of the term karma. One meaning is activity of an incomplete person. Second meaning is fruits of activity is also called as karma. Actually, karma phala also sometimes gets termed as karma. So, Bhagwan doesn't have karma, nor does Bhagwan have karma phala, fruit of activities. Neither activities nor the fruit of activities. But he is described sometimes, aham bhakta paradhinaha. I am actually dependent upon the devotees. Is that a siddhantic realization, or is it a realization from a ras point of view? From which point of view does Bhagwan say aham bhakta paradhinaha? From a rasa point of view. I hope you are able to understand. Is he siddhantically dependent on anybody? No. Siddhantically he is independent. But from when it comes to relishing ras, so when it comes to relishing ras, he shows dependence. I hope you are able to understand. Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda. Earlier Krishna was showing siddhanta, that I cannot be bound. Krishna did not get bound. Many attempts were made. Did Krishna get bound? No. Why? Siddhantically. Na chantar na bahir yasya na purvam na pichaparam. Purva param bahischantar jagato yo jagatchaya. He has no inside, no outside, no east side, no left side, no north side, no south side. How can a rope bound something which is... Actually, he is all around the rope. How can rope be all around him? I hope he is within the rope. The rope is made out of his energy. How can he be bound by the rope? Sridhar Swami gives a beautiful explanation on that verse. Na chantar na bahir yasya. Actually, he has surrounded the rope from all directions. How can rope surround him from all directions? That is Siddhantic point of view. But then when it came to a ras aswadan, relishing the ras point of view, then Krishna agreed to become what? Bound. Shri Shri Radha Neel Madhav Ji ki jai. He agreed to become bound. So, did he actually become bound? From a ras point of view, yes. Which rope bound him? Tell me. Satyavrat Muni says in the last verse, Namastestu damne, obeisances to the rope. Why pay obeisance to the rope? Is there a need to pay obeisances to the rope? Why would Satyavrat Muni pay obeisances to the rope? Which rope was that which bound him? Prem. Prem Rajju. Bandhanani khalu santi bahuni prem rajju drada bandhana mahu. Daru bheda nipinopi shadangri nishkriyo bhavati pankaj koshe. Bandhanani khalu santi bahuni. There are many bandhanas, bondages in this world. But prema rajju, the strongest bond is the rope of love. Prema rajju. Example, daru bheda nipunopi shadangri. A bumblebee, it has such strength that it can even pierce through wood. But nishkriyo bhavati, but it becomes completely inactive. Pankaja koshe, within a lotus. Does it ever break through a lotus flower? No. It goes in the lotus flower, it receives lot of prema there. A nice seat for resting, there is so much honey. It doesn't have to go anywhere. In the night the lotus closes, it gets its own private room. Will the bumblebee ever pierce the lotus? No. This is called Prem Bandhan. I hope you are able to understand. So that is, the rope is made out of prema. Actually no rope can bound him. That is Siddhanta. Siddhanta is no rope can bound him. Rasa is Prem can bound him. That there are two different considerations. Both considerations are very important for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Very important. Thank you, Prabhuji. I hope you are satisfied. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the wonderful session. I just wanted some clarity on the Prakash Leela. So Lord expands, simultaneously replicates. Or there is no replication there, it exists.
Obviously.
Eternally exists. Yeah.
Think about it. Is there replication? If there is replication, the term replica also doesn't do justice to the term Prakash.
Correct. So there is no English word for it. Yes. So, but in 9.5, Krishna says, in Bhagavad Gita 9.5, so let me read the translation there.
No, read the verse.
Read the verse.
It's very important to read the verse. Yeah.
Natramastani bhutani pasyame yogamaishwaryam bhutabrin nacha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So, although I am maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation.
Right.
So my understanding is he exists as a Paramatma, the expansion of it within the middle world. He doesn't exist as the Supreme Lord.
Why? He exists also as the Supreme Lord everywhere. Sarvato Pani Padam Te. What did Arjuna see when Krishna showed his, Vishwaroop? What did Arjuna see? In every direction, there are hands and legs.
That is when incarnation, when the Lord comes, but is it...
Vishwaroop is an incarnation? No. From whom did Vishwaroop take birth?
From Lord.
Vishwaroop never took birth. Vishwaroop is Vishwaroop present
manifest.
here today?
It's manifest.
It is manifest. It became He said, I give you eyes, Arjun. Now you see. Then Arjun started seeing. That he started seeing hands and legs everywhere. He started seeing faces everywhere. Then this entire Vishwaroop, it was ever expanding in front of his eyes. The Kauravas were being, chewed by the various mouths of the Vishwaroop. And then Arjuna said, I am frightened actually. Then Krishna said, all right. I again give you the eyes by which you can see me. Then Krishna gave him the eyes by which he could again see the two-handed form of Krishna. First he saw four-handed, then he saw two-handed. That's how he's... So Vishwaroop is always there. Not only Vishwaroop, Krishna is also present in his personal form everywhere.
Prakash.
Not only Krishna is Krishna present between you and me?
Yes.
In his personal form?
Yes.
In his Bal Roop?
How do we say? Yes.
In his Kishore Roop?
Yes.
In his Yuva Roop?
Yes.
Is Lord Ramchandra present?
Yes.
In his Bal Roop?
In all forms.
In all ages, is he present between you and me?
Yes.
Is Narasimhadev present?
Yes.
Are all forms of the Lord along with all the permutations and combinations of all their ages present between you and me?
Yes.
That is the understanding. You want to see the Praman?
Yes.
Yes? It's very important to see the Praman. So I would like to show the Praman from Srimad Bhagavatam. This was realization of Shri Akrura. 10.40.7. 40.7. If we can pull up that verse. 10.40.7. Can you read the last line, Prabhu, in that? You have pulled it up? Yes, here it is in front of you. Can you please repeat after me? Bahumurtyeka murtikam
Bahumurti Mumurtikam.
What is the meaning of Bahumurti Ekamurtikam? That his one Murti as Krishna is actually which Murti? Bahumurti. I hope you are able to understand. Bahumurti is existing within how many Murtis?
Ekamurti.
If one is the source, then others are produced. Are others produced or others eternally exist? Yes. When you say source, you are calling it input. And when there is an input, there is an output. And an output is produced at a certain point of time. Are the murtis produced at a certain point of time, or are all the murtis existing simultaneously within him eternally?
Right.
Ah.
So there is no time factor, there is no.
Obviously, how can you ascribe it? Even the jiva doesn't have time factor. Forget about Bhagwan. Even jiva is anadi ananta.
Right.
Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. If that is the case with jiva, can we say about Bhagwan? Please see let's see the translation of this verse. Let's read the last sentence. Can you read the last sentence, Prabhuji?
Absorbing their minds in thought of you, they worship you as the one Supreme Lord manifesting in multiple forms.
Yes. One Supreme Lord generating multiple forms, or one Supreme Lord manifesting multiple forms?
Manifest.
I hope you are able. There's a big, in translation one has to be very careful, because you may end up using a word which is not exactly, you may call Prakash as expansion, but actually expansion is not Prakash. You may call replica. Replica fits better, but actually even replica is not Prakash. You know why? Because a replica is made based on an original. Have you seen replica of a watch? No. In order to make a replica, what do you need?
You need the original.
Original.
So there is no word.
There is no word in the English language for denoting Prakash. You can call it eternally existing replicas, but still that would not do. Because as soon as you would use the term replica, you have still, the meaning is no longer the same. Therefore, the term to be used is Prakash and only Prakash.
So in a way, there are multiple supremes. Also, we can say that is
multiple supremes.
Cannot be invalidated.
Yes. So, eternally existing unlimited forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called as what? In Sanskrit?
Prakash.
See how Sanskrit is. It's just Prakash. And that will also not do justice to the term Prakash. You know why? Because all the associates also have Prakash Vigrahas.
Right.
So, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, wherever Krishna is taking birth, where multiple universes Krishna is taking birth, are Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda also not present there?
Yes.
At one point of time, how many Nanda Maharaj and Yashodas can be there?
As many
as Krishna requires. They are which Vigraha?
Prakash Vigraha. So Jiva is also Prakash.
In the spiritual world, Jiva can also accept limited forms. But in the spiritual world, the Prakash Vigrahas, Yogamaya can arrange as many. And as many, she can also manifest in the material. Yogamaya has dominion over Mahamaya. If Yogamaya tells Mahamaya, these people have to appear here, Mahamaya has to agree. Mahamaya has no dominion over Yogamaya. Mahamaya can't dictate to Yogamaya. But Yogamaya tells Mahamaya, this is where these Vigrahas are going to appear. So that is... Okay.
Yeah, and so they all have their ego.
Yeah, they all have their ego.
They have same different tastes.
And
devotee in spiritual world experience individually with a specific Prakash. Okay.
Okay. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for very nicely explaining the birth and appearance. So in the same line of thought, if you talk about disappearance of Krishna, we see in the Mosal Leela that when Krishna, the way he disappears, first of all, the chariot ascends and all his associates, they appear, he ascends on the chariot, and he goes to the spiritual world. But then he leaves behind a body.
Kalevar.
And the queens, they appear, and there is a funeral pyre, and they enter the fire and the sati. So can you elaborate on what that form is that Krishna left behind? Thank you.
So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in this commentary to that particular section that when disappearing, Krishna is performing certain pastimes which are known as Maik Leela. Maik Leela means they are certain pastimes which are meant to give strength to those who are rationalists, so called. Those who say that Bhagavan was ordinary historical person. He is just one of us. Just he became great because of his political thinking and maneuverability. Such people gain strength by seeing Maika Leela. Maika Leela means such people gain strength by seeing that Krishna did like this. Actually, not only that, previously when he arranged for the fratricidal war between the Yadus, so actually, why did Krishna arrange it in that way? He could have simply done like Lord Ram did. How did Lord Ram's associate disappear? In Ayodhya, they went to that river, and everybody, just entered into the spiritual world in that river. That's Lord Ram's disappearance from this world. All the Ayodhya Vasis, that's how they entered. But Krishna knew he can also do that perfectly. 100% Krishna can do that. But Krishna knew that another age is coming up. Which age is coming up? Kali. And this age will be full of people who need some praman, some proof that actually it was ordinary activity. You people falsely ascribe some divinity to it. So that is called Maik Leela. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains it. Otherwise, you see any other incarnation, like you see in Nrsimhadev. How does he appear? How does Nrsimhadev disappear? Just in a click, disappeared. That is, can Krishna not do that? Obviously, he can do that. But why does Krishna arrange a fratricidal war and the Yadus are intoxicated, they're fighting with each other, hitting each other with sticks, and then in that they disappear? So obviously, there is some reason behind it. Another reason is Krishna also wanted that the burden of the entire earth should reduce. Burden refers to Kshatriyas. Yadus themselves are what? Kshatriyas. If Krishna disappears and Yadus remain, is the purpose fulfilled? No. So obviously the Yadus have to leave. Krishna ensured all the Yadus will leave. All of them will leave. Is this a pre-arrangement or is this by chance? It is pre-arrangement of Bhagavan. So this is how it is to be understood. How did Balram disappear? Samadhi. So that is how. Krishna could have also disappeared like this. Why did Krishna arrange the shooting pastime and he got shot in the foot, and then people say, oh, just see, he was bleeding. Krishna was bleeding.
Interestingly, they don't talk about the birth, because birth is Divyam.
But you see an arrow shot Krishna, an arrow hit Krishna. So, Maik Leela, that is what it is. Mayika, not Mike. Mayika Leela. This is Maik Leela. Maik Leela.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. So I have a question regarding the eternal pastimes of the spiritual world, like childhood pastimes, then youth. So within those pastimes, I heard from His Grace Amarendra Prabhu that 0 to 1 and 1 to 2. So I wanted to have some more understanding about that each of these pastimes are simultaneously going on in the spiritual world.
There is no Bal Leela in the spiritual world.
There is no. So
there is absolutely no Bal Leela in the spiritual world. If there is Bal Leela in the spiritual world, then why would Krishna be called Navayavanam, ever existing youth? In the Radha Krishna Gadodesh Deepika, fixed ages of Radha, Krishna and all the associates have been given. It is said Srimati Radharani is some 14 years and some days. Krishna is, near to 16 years. Those are fixed ages in the spiritual world. Where do we see Bal Leela? Only when Krishna appears in the material world in certain universes. That is the only place you will get to see Bal Leela. Now the devotees who are in Vatsalya Ras, what about them? Why don't they get to see Bal Leela in the spirit? For them, they have already come from the material world. Basically, they have spent one life with Krishna and they have seen Krishna growing up. And when Krishna attained 16 years of age, that image is there in their heart. So they still see Krishna as their child, basically. Okay. So that ras is still there in their heart. But in the spiritual world, the pastimes of childhood and growing up are not manifest. Those pastimes are manifest only within the material world. Okay. That is a very clear verdict of the Acharyas. That Krishna doesn't like, as it's not that Krishna takes birth from Yashoda and Nanda in the spiritual world. There is no birth in the spiritual world. Krishna is eternally existing in the spiritual world. I say. So that is the...
So those pastimes they repeat one after, the same pastimes...
Same pastime with certain variation. Jiva Goswami says that. In the Bhagavad Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says, most of the pastimes repeat and with some variation in flair, some change of order, some variations. Sometimes some new pastime may also be there. But we don't know about pastimes in other universes. We only know pastimes which are there in our universe. But certainly there is some change involved.
So I was thinking about the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, those pastimes with some changes will keep on repeating.
In the spiritual world, what happens?
Yeah.
If you want to see, then you have to see what is given in some advanced literature. Like Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has written a book called Shri Govinda Lilamritam. Now that book is clear description of the spiritual world. 24 hours are described. And Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I am describing only one day. Okay, only one day of one particular day that I saw in the spiritual world. He was blessed by his Guru that you will see. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami saw what happens in the spiritual world. And he noted all the details down. And then he composed a manual for 24-hour remembrance of Krishna, which is called Govinda Lilamritam. And in this, it has been divided into Kala, Ashtayama. Ashtayama means 3 hours. 8 into 3 is how much? 24. So, Ashtakaliya, it is called. What is the meaning of Ashtakaliya? 8 into 3, 24 hours remembrance. So, any time of the day you are externally, according to that, you can align your smaran of Krishna. So, that 24 hours, he has given one day of one particular, he says maybe some weekend, or he was said some Saturday or Sunday, he says. He says that it was only one day I saw. But Krishna was 16 years. Srimati Radharani is 14 and a half, something like that. So their ages are fixed. Similarly, one entire year passes like this. All the 6 seasons are there. Names of 6 seasons are given by Kavi Karnapur in Anand Vrindavan Champu, first chapter. Summer is not very hot, doesn't burn. A summer that doesn't burn. Rainy season that doesn't flood. He has given those names in Anand Vrindavan Champu. So perfect seasons which are there, which give pleasure, like it was yesterday in Seattle. See today, it's completely different. So those types of summers, those types of seasons are present there. Sometimes there is some extra rain if you want to facilitate some leela, but otherwise all weathers are perfect. So all these pastimes, all these things were mentioned by the Acharyas. And then 1 year passes, but Krishna doesn't jump from 16 to 17. Krishna still remains 16. I hope you are able to understand. So, some people say time is only in the present tense in the spiritual world. Yeah, it's in the present tense, but in an extended present tense, because there is also 24 hours pass, months pass, 1 year passes. When 1 samvatsara passes, then the clock again begins. But in the new samvatsara, again new pastimes happen. I hope you are. But many pastimes repeat. Like in our life also. Do we celebrate Holi every year in the same way? Like we take the same Pichkari feel the same color, and do we do every year the same? No. Some years we may not celebrate Holi in the same way. That's how Krishna. But the thing is, their ages don't increase. 1 year passes, but the ages don't increase. Year passes, ages don't increase. All 6 seasons are experienced. All the fruits, all varieties of fruits, flowers are seen. That is spiritual world.
But it passes in chronological way, or it can directly jump from.
No, that doesn't happen. Though the sequence of just you see Shad Ritu in Bharatvarsha. Similarly, there are Shad Ritus, 6 seasons, and there is a sequence of that. Because it's important for Ras Poshana, for the nourishment of Rasa, it's important that the 6 seasons should appear in certain sequence. It's not that there is summer and suddenly it changed to extreme winter, Shishir. So that should not be the case. When summer should be there, it should change to rains, it should change to autumn, autumn should change to light winter should change to heavy winter, and all the seasons then come in sequence like that.
What about nights now?
Obviously there are night and day. Huh? Obviously why not? Huh? There is no time factor, which means the after effects of time. Jayate, asti, vardhate. The after effects of time don't exist. But who will say that time itself doesn't exist in the spiritual? Nobody can say that. If time doesn't exist, then everybody will be frozen in the spiritual. This will be spiritual world. Activities, yes. There is no karma, but everybody performs karma. Why? Out of joy.
Thank you. One more.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the amazing lectures. Prabhu, I have one question, like Sarve Jana Sukhuno Bhavantu. The Jana means like 8.4 million species of one universe, or like it's all the universes? How can we, Jana means like?
No, that Vedic injunction is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Not Jana is also not added.
Okay.
Sarve means what? Sarve means from Brahma down to Brahma Kita. Everybody, let them become, from Lord Brahma all the way up to the lower planetary systems, everybody. Let everybody become happy.
Okay.
That is our prayer.
It's not Sarve Jana Sukhuno Bhavantu. Okay.
If it says Janaha, the term Janaha usually means humans, but it is taken as Upalakshana. It also includes all other living entities. That is, in Sanskrit it is called Upalakshan. Upalakshan means it also includes other living entities. For example, if I say Pitambaram Anaya, what is the meaning of Pitambar?
It's gold or
yellow. Pit means yellowish golden. Ambara means cloth. The meaning of the term Pitambar is that Pitam Ambaram Yasya. Golden is whose cloth. That person is known as what? Pitambar. When I say Pitambaram Anaya, bring Pitambar. So, will only the person come, or will the cloth also come with him? Cloth will also come with him, na? Or will he come without the cloth? So, although Pitambar indicates the person, but that person is wearing the cloth. Therefore, the person will come with the cloth. This is, in Sanskrit, it is called Tad Guna Samvijyan Bahuvrihi Samas. It's a technical term. That a term which includes all the qualities which are within it. Upalakshan, short and sweet Upalakshan means Janaha means all other living entities also.
all other. Okay, thank you, bro.
So the Lord also appears in every living entity's form also. Is that like
Lord also appears in
different species? Is that so?
Yes.
Obviously, what is the pramana? Where is
Itham ritirya rishideva jhashavataran? Is that channaha kalau yadabhavat? You want to see the praman? Yeah. Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. We can pull out the verse. 7, 9, 38. So Bhagavatam 7th canto 9th chapter, verse number 38. 7, 9, 38. So you can see the first line. Everybody please repeat the first line. Ittam nritirya grishideva jhashavatarir. Nri means human. Tiryag means animal. Rishi means sages like Kapil, etc. Deva means gods. Jhasha means aquatics, avtarai in incarnations in these various species. That is the meaning. Hence proved he appears in all these species.
So, of course, these Dashavataras, we can see these, but I mean, there is probably 8.4 million species. It's not, is it an expansion on this verse that he also appears in every one of?
He appears. But if Shastra starts counting 8.4 million, then Shastra, the thing is, Shastra is mainly meant for Manav Samaj, human society. So all those incarnations which were benefiting the human society, or which are for the protection of sadhus, those incarnations are mentioned. Otherwise, he has unlimited, that is first canto, third chapter he has mentioned. It is mentioned, so many incarnations, you can't even count actually how many incarnations are there. But not all will be mentioned. And some incarnations will be Jiva Tattva who is empowered with his Shakti Avesh basically. So he may empower a certain Jiva. See, I would like to prove this point again by another verse. This is 1.3.26. 1.3.26 also we can pull out and we can try to read what is the first line. 1.3.26. What is the first line in 1.3.26? Avatara hi. What is asankhyeya? Hence proved. What is? If there is no sankhya assigned to it. Avatara hi asankhyeya. Asankhya avatare. Asankhya means na sankhya yasya. Sa asankhya. In certain ways. Every incarnation's purpose is not that. Some incarnation's purpose is also different. Jiva Goswami says one should be careful when Krishna appears as a philosopher. Whenever Krishna appears as a rishi, be little careful. Dattatreya, Rishabh, Kapil, be little careful because you may become a follower of them and they are for giving mukti only, but do you want that type of mukti? Buddha. Be careful when Krishna appears as a philosopher, because instead of getting ras, you may end up getting the bitter candy of philosophy and end up merging in the impersonal Brahman. So if you want ras, follow the Akhila Rasamrita Murtihi, that is Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Prabhu, one last question. So we all came from, where we fall down, right? So we all came from Brahma Jyoti. So how did we go to Brahma Jyoti?
How did we go to Brahma Jyoti? The Jiva is called Tatastha Shakti, not Tatastha. Tatastha Shakti is striling, feminine. So Shakti cannot be Tatastha. Shakti is Tatastha with the A. Tatastha Shakti. What is the meaning of Tatastha Shakti? What is the meaning of Tata? Shore, border. And what does the Stha indicate? Stha means permanently situated. Grihe sthitaha One who is situated in home becomes known as what? Grihastha. Vane prakarshena sthitah or vane prastha, vanaprastha. So anybody who is situated in griha becomes grihastha. Anybody who is permanently situated on the tata becomes what? Tatastha. So that is the meaning, etymology of the term. Itself indicates that they never arrived at the tata. It's not that they were situated somewhere else and then they arrived at the border. They were from Anadi Kal, jivas were situated at the border. That is their constitutional position. What is the constitutional position of Tatastha Shakti? To remain where? At the margin. That's when it is called constitutional position.
So in the unmanifested form, like there is I don't know the number, some 8 million forms.
Those are species.
Species.
There are no species. The species only pertain to the material world.
So it is all jivas.
All
jivas.
Just without any material body, without any spiritual body. Jiva in the spiritual world requires spiritual body. Jiva in the material world requires material body. There is only one place where no body is required.
So
that is.
So question on that is how about the karma? So they are all in the marginal as
Yes.
jivas. So when we come in with some karma.
Right.
Where does the karma is zeros when we start, or how does it only after we come to the material world the karma starts?
Okay, very good question. How does karma start? So Sri Jiva Goswami explains in Bhagavad Sandarbha. I will read exact words of Sri Jiva Goswami in Bhagavad Sandarbha. We will live translation. All right, all of you will also be able to translate it. Okay. So please repeat after me. This is Bhagavad Sandarbha Anuched 13. Yadyapi iyam bahiranga. Although this Maya is which energy? External energy. Tathapi, still. Asyas tatastha shaktimayam api jivam avaritum samarthyam asti. Although she is bahiranga, still she has the samarthya. What is the meaning of samarthya? Capability or potency. Avaritum avaran dalne ka. Avaran means what? To cover. Tatastha shaktimayam jivam. I hope you are able to understand. That sentence in itself is Siddhanta. That although Maya is bahiranga, she has the capability to cover which jiva? He added a adjective. Tatastha shaktimayam api jivam. Jiva Goswami could have said Antaranga Shaktimayam, the Jiva who is in the spiritual world. No. She has the capability to cover only the Jiva who is located where? On the Tata, on the border. This is a clear indication as to where she caught the Jivas from. She caught the Jivas from the border. And when she caught the Jivas from the border, she first gave them Vasana Bija. Vasana Bija means the first seed of Vasana. Now this is the material world. From there, the Jiva's Anadi Karma begins. See the contradiction. Anadi Karma begins. Beginningless Karma begins. How to explain it? There is no way to explain it. But from there, the beginningless Karma of the Jiva begins.
So from that marginal place, the Jiva come to the material world.
Yes.
We go through the karma.
Right.
Based on what we do, we end up either different places.
Right.
We can also go back to that marginal place also.
Yes.
So what is that condition to go to the marginal place?
Attain impersonal liberation.
Okay, so
Sayujya Mukti.
so that is Brahma realization.
Obviously.
Okay.
Shantaras. Yes. Very good. Yeah. So Prabhuji is saying that he has heard that we start with position of Brahma. Huh? Purport of 9th canto. Yeah. So the acharyas have said this, that usually most jivas, most, first become Brahma. But I have read those statements. That statement also comes originally from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There is a book called as Amrita Vani. In that book, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has also said that the jiva who comes to the material world first gets a chance to become Brahma. But they have said almost in almost all cases, not in every case. So there may be a few exceptions, but it is their verdict, the verdict of the acharyas, that the jiva gets a chance to become Brahma first. But I am yet to see a direct Shastra Praman, although I accept the words of the acharyas, but I am in the process of finding if there is a Shastra Praman to back it up. That is where it is right now. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My question is related to the discussion right now going on, which Mataji asked. I will read just 3-4 lines, and this is also related to our yesterday's discussion.
Sure.
This is Canto 9, I think 9, 11, 19.
Right.
And the last lines in the purport, Prabhupada is saying here, the Gyanis or monastic philosophers, because of their impersonal conception of the Lord, cannot enter the Vaikuntha planets, but they also cannot stay eternally in the Brahmajyoti.
Right.
Thus, after some time, they fall again to this material world. Aruya Krichena Param Padam Tata, which we were discussing yesterday. The Vaikuntha planets are covered by the Brahmajyoti, and therefore one cannot properly understand what those Vaikuntha planets are unless one is a pure devotee.
Sure.
Now, I think you must have guessed my question. You are saying that after some time they fall again to this material world and again Aruya Krachena. I have heard this two statements together many times, so could you please help me?
Many times devotees ask this question, that does a person after attaining Brahma Jyoti fall down? So I will again put all the cards on the table and you can take a decision. Okay? The verse that you are speaking, Yenye Ravindaksha Vimukta Maninas Tvayasta Bhavada Vishuddha Buddhaya Aruya Krichrena Parampadam Tatah Patantya Dhona Drita Yushmadangraya. Yenye, those other philosophers, Yenye Aravindaksha, O Lord, Vimukta Maninaha. Are they Vimuktas or are they Vimukta Maninas? Maninas. Are they liberated or are they considering themselves to be liberated? That what does the Sanskrit say? Vimukta Maninas. Tvayasta Bhava, they don't have any bhav towards you. Avishuddha Buddhaya. Therefore they are Avishuddha Buddhi. Avishuddha Buddhi means their intelligence is impure. Can one's intelligence be impure in Brahma Jyoti? Is one's intelligence impure in Brahma Jyoti, or is one's intelligence impure if one is falsely considering oneself to have merged in the Brahman? I hope you are able to understand. So, does a Mukta fall, or does a person who is falsely considering himself Jivan Mukta fall? Second one falls. This is the Siddhanta given by all previous acharyas. Second thing, and this homework, this is something which everybody should look up. The final sutra of Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on which? What? Vedanta. Final sutra of the Vedanta Sutra. Anavrittihi shabdad, anavrittihi shabdat. There is no returning back for the soul who is liberated. Anavrittihi. Says who? Shabdat, Shabda Praman says. Anavrittihi shabdat. There is no returning back. Says who? Shabda says. In the commentators, all the commentators are ek vakyata, one line. No matter which liberation you attain, there is no returning back to the material world. So, the interpretation of all the previous acharyas is that once you attain the Brahma Jyoti, you never return back to this material world, or if you attain any mukti, you never return back to this material world. Okay. There is one category of person who returns, Vimukta Manina. Like there are Prabhupada used to criticize, there are a few Mayavadis. First they falsely think Aham Brahmasmi, that now I have become liberated, I am Jivan Mukta. They read these books, Jivan Mukti Vivek, Aham Brahmasmi, and Tattva Sagar, Vichar Sagar. They read all these books. Shri Radha Nila Madhav Ji ki jai. They read all these books, but they don't have experience of Brahma. Because they don't have experience of Brahma, after some time, they think that actually this is also Brahma. Is he not Brahma? He is also Brahma. See on the street, there is that Daridra Brahma who is crying in hunger. Hai ki nahi? So actually better thing would be to help that Daridra Narayan, to help that Daridra Brahma. That is where the person who was falsely considering himself to be one with Brahma falls down and ends up performing his so-called charitable activities in the material world, and that is his fall down, because now from realizing from oneness he has entered into manyness again. That is actually his fall down into the material world again. I hope you are able to understand. But once he actually becomes one with Brahma, there is previous acharyas, Vedanta Sutra, final Sutra of Vedanta Sutra also will say, can see any commentary. See the commentary of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan also. Anavrittihi Shabdad, Anavrittihi Shabdad. Will Srimad Bhagavatam contradict the Vedanta Sutra? Obviously not. So, ek vakyata, one line of thought is very important to establish one line of thought. Otherwise, if people fall from Brahmajyoti, then what is the point of calling it Mukti? What is the point of calling it? How many types of Mukti are there? Why not say only 4? If that is not Mukti, then how many types of Mukti are there actually only? Why called Sayujya Mukti? Point to be noted. Sayujya is not Mukti then. But in the opinion of Srimad Bhagavatam, is Sayujya bona fide Mukti? Obviously, because it is permanent. Muktir hitvan yatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. That is the definition of Mukti. Mukti is to situate yourself in your constitutional position. Can a person fall from his constitutional position? Yes.
So, we just discussed that the constitutional position of Jiva is
Tatastha Shakti.
So, when the Jiva is liberated to achieve spiritual world, constitutional position cannot change, so it's still Tatastha. But then, for it to be truly Tatastha, it is still prone to fall down.
Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami says, Tato askhalanam. From there, it is impossible to fall.
Then he is not Tatastha anymore.
He is constitutional. Does it mean, when it says Tatastha, does it mean that he has merged with Vishnu Tattva? In the spiritual world, does he merge with Vishnu Tattva? No. Does he still remain particle Chitkana? Yes, it's a particle of sand. So does the particle of sand change or its location changes?
The location changes.
Yeah. And the constitution of that particle remains the same?
Which is to be potentially come under the influence of material.
No. It will only come under the material energy if it is Bahirmukh, it is looking outside. Is it looking outside or is it sheltered within Antaranga Shakti?
It depends on the Jiva, right?
You are saying a Jiva was gone to the spiritual world.
But then, for free will, if the Jiva might choose
right,
to have that Bahirmukh.
No. Once the container is filled with Sthayi Bhav, you have a Sthayi Bhav towards Krishna. Your Sthayi Bhav will become Asthayi, then why will it be called Sthayi Bhav?
By the same logic, if he is not Tatastha, right, if he achieves, if there is no potential for him to come under the influence of material energy, and he is not Tatastha.
No.
He is not a Tatastha anymore. Because
he in quality, in his minuscule size, is still He is still sharing the characteristics with those who are in Tatastha. But by location, he is not Tatastha now. Because he has been accepted, sheltered by which energy now? Antaranga. So he is a Tatastha Jiva who is right now in the shelter of Antaranga Shakti. I hope he was originally from where? Tata. But now he is in the shelter of which energy? Antaranga Shakti. So he is not at his original location, but he has been absorbed by the internal energy. That is the Kripa of Bhagavan, and he will stay there. He will stay eternally within that particular planet. He will never come back to Tata. But if bhakti was not there, if Bhagavan's Shakti was not there, if Kripa was not there, what would have been his constitutional position? If bhakti would not be there, then his constitutional position would be again where? Tata. I hope you are able to understand.
The only part I think it's confusing is this Tatastha should always be Tatastha, otherwise it's not a constitutional position. Even in the spiritual world, qualitatively, if the chance of falling down is not there, then there's no free will. Like, the Jiva might choose for whatever reason.
No. It is not that free will means the absolute free will to do anything and everything that you want. It's not America, na? So, free will means once you have a sthayi bhav, the sthayi bhav allows you to have the free will in that particular rasa. Whatever flavor of that rasa you want to experience, that free will is there. Now suppose there is a tree in the spiritual world. The tree thinks, I want to move. Obviously it's a tree, it will stay at one place. But it will be happily situated there. It will not have the desire to move in other places. I hope you are able. That is called sthayi bhav. There is a concept in rasa which is called sthayi bhav. Once a person attains a sthayi bhav, there is no question of him having all the spectrum of desires. The spectrum of desires is vast, but it doesn't have all the desires that are possible. So within that spectrum of desires, he is free to have any desire, that is his free will. So that is what is, the jiva always has limited freedom. Unlimited freedom is not for any jiva in any world. The limited freedom within the spiritual world is there where the jiva is completely satisfied, 100% satisfied. There is no question of dissatisfaction, therefore the name Vaikuntha. But if you are saying freedom means I should have the freedom to fall back, that is not possible.
So there are some statements by Srila Prabhupada.
Of course. Therefore I said, ek vakyata. Ek vakyata means, are those statements also corresponding to the statements of the acharyas? Because it is very easy to say that my parampara begins and ends with Srila Prabhupada. But ek vakyata should also be there. So Srila Prabhupada is representing the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So their teachings, what they are teaching, and Srila Prabhupada is also saying that from many places Prabhupada is saying one never falls from the spiritual world. Should I show one such place?
He says that
No. Then why we selectively take only those statements? Reconciliation is, what is reconciliation? When the previous Acharya statements and Prabhupada's statements fall in one line, that is what you call reconciliation. Reconciliation is that Prabhupada says one never falls from the spiritual world. Previous Acharya Jiva Goswami says tato askhalanam. Vedant Sutra says anavritti shabdat. So what is the reconciliation? The reconciliation is that nobody falls from the spiritual world. It's 100%. Nobody falls from the spiritual world. That is the reconciliation. If anybody falls from the spiritual world, there is no point of executing Bhakti Yoga today. Agreed? If anybody falls from the spiritual world, what is the point of executing Bhakti Yoga?
one might argue just for the sake of argument.
That is Vitandavad. That is what is Vitandavad. You know, Vitandavad means there is no position to prove, but to disprove somebody's position, the argument is given.
Two more questions there.
Yes, okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavas pranams. So my question is that since we just talked about Tatastha Shakti, where we have free will to make decisions, it's a limited free will, but we still have free will to make decisions. So how do we understand Nitya Siddhas or living entities who are already liberated from the beginning? How do we understand, like, do they make a choice for their bhakti or their love for Krishna?
Actually, Srila Jiva Goswami explains in Paramatma Sandarbh that there are two types of living entities, Nitya Antarmukh and Nitya Bahirmukh. Those who are eternally inclined towards Krishna, those who are eternally disinclined towards Bhagavan. Those who are Nitya Antarmukh, in Paramatma Sandarbh he says Dvividha Jiva, two types of Jivas. Those are eternally Antarmukh, eternally Bahirmukh. There was never a time when a choice was made. They were eternally, some Jivas were Antarmukh. Eternally, some Jivas were Bahirmukh. Now you ask this question to Jiva Goswami, why was it like that? So that answer is not there given. He just says the situation is like this. Some Jivas were eternally Antarmukh, some Jivas were eternally Bahirmukha. The Jivas who are eternally Antarmukha, they have been sheltered by the internal potency of Bhagavan. Jivas who are Bahirmukha, there is a chance for them to be sheltered in the material. Maya can pull them down. But that is what it is. It's not that at any point they can make any decision. No. There was never a point of making decision. Some Jivas were eternally inclined to Bhagavan, some Jivas were eternally disinclined to Bhagavan. He only gives one reason for that, because some Jivas had that Bhagavad Gyan and some Jivas did not have that Bhagavad Gyan. And what is the reason for that? It is not specified beyond that. There are some achintya khalu ye bhava natam starkena yojayet. There are some things which cannot be described because the origin is not known. Nobody knows what is the origin of the jiva. Not even in Vedanta Sutra, nobody knows what is the origin of the jiva. If you try to measure, even Vedanta Sutra says Atmadikaran, there is no origin for the jiva. There is no Shruti, no Shastra will ever describe any origin of any jiva. So, there was never a time when you were given a choice. Actually, you were eternally disinclined. That is it. Did you have sthai bhav about Krishna? Did you ever have a sthai bhav towards Krishna? No. Those who are in the material world, no. If you would have a sthai bhav, you would be in which world? If you would be in spiritual world, would you ever come down? No. Absolutely not. Some devotees say that you were in the spiritual world. And suddenly you got envious. Okay? Right? Now you are here in the material world. Okay? What happened to that Swarupa in the spiritual world? Let's accept this position. You were a Gopa in the spiritual world, happily playing with Krishna. Since time immemorial. Since time immemorial, envy did not enter into your heart. Okay? One fine day, something happened. Envy is actually one of the, I'll just say this. Envy is one of the sanchari bhavas. It is one of the allowed transitory emotions in the spiritual world. The gopis have envy for each other's camp. So envy is one of the sanchari bhavas in the spiritual world which nourishes the sthai bhav. In any case, let's say you become envious of Krishna. Okay? So what, now you fell from there, you were, supposing you were a gopa, you fell from there. What has happened to that gopa swarup?
It's this momentary distraction, because the fraction of second in spiritual world is millions of yugas.
Even that will not be allowed. Because even for a fraction of moment if you disappear, will you become Anadi Ananta or will you become Sadi Sa Anta?
I did not understand.
It's very tricky to say for a moment I disappeared. Let's say for a moment you disappeared. There is something called Anadi and Ananta, beginningless and endless. Will you remain beginningless and endless, or for that moment you will become without beginning full and end full?
I think the form is still there, the consciousness. Just the consciousness is infused into material energy. It's not that I left, I'm still there, but I'm experiencing this time dilation into full species.
Says which Shastra?
I don't have a
It's like a dream situation.
Who says?
Sukadeva Goswami.
Where?
2.9.
Huh.
So that shows that it's never described. It's like a dream situation.
Shukdev Goswami is not describing the jiva from the spiritual world. Shukdev Goswami is describing the jiva who were absorbed in Mahavishnu's body. Then they came out. And this entire world is like Mahavishnu's dream. And all the jivas are sharing the dream-like situation. That is what the verse is about. Shukdev Goswami is not saying that the jiva in the spiritual world is having a dream-like situation.
I think Prabhupada, in one of the class, he is in that same level.
Yeah. Of all analogies that are described in the material world, all analogies can only reach to a certain point. If you say that I was in the spiritual world and I momentarily disappeared, then your Anadi Ananta condition is fails at that moment.
But if I'm still there, so my consciousness is infused, then it's not violent.
Ek minute. Your consciousness cannot exist without your jiva separately. Your jiva is here or there.
I'm sitting in the class, but my consciousness...
No, 1 minute. Your jiva is in which world?
Jiva could be spiritual.
Could be. If it could be, what are you doing here? Then which means this world is only your consciousness?
I'm experiencing it.
No, this world is merely a fragment of your consciousness?
I'm experiencing the material.
Inadvertently you are saying that this material world is only your experience and not real?
It is as real as I'm experiencing.
That you are taking sides with Adi Shankaracharya. Please, you are changing your school, Prabhu. It is only Vyavaharik Satta, not Paramarthik Satta.
This is kind of understanding.
A lot of people have that understanding, but there are so many. From Nyaya Shastra, somebody will cut into pieces. And if you put such an understanding, you disappeared for a moment in the. Some people say you are sleeping in the spiritual world. This also is, Wow. If you are sleeping in the spiritual world, and so this material world is your dream. If this material world is a dream, whose school are you enrolled in? Adi Shankaracharya.
So jiva is eternally...
Obviously. Why would one want to deny so many statements from the Acharya in order to prove one's point? Why the brute resistance to deny all the previous Acharyas?
So that was just an analogy?
All analogies are imperfect. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Supreme Lord is compared to a spider in the 11th canto. Yathornu Nabha. Just as a spider, he produces thread from his mouth and spins the web, plays in the web and then eats up the web. Similarly, the Supreme Lord produces the material world, plays in the material world and eats up the material world. This analogy is there. Is the analogy perfect? Why? Because the spider eats from outside in order to produce the web. Does the Supreme Lord eat from outside in order to produce the web? No. Sometimes the spider dies in his own web. Does the spiritual Lord, the Supreme Lord ever die in his own web? Is the analogy perfect? Obviously not. Jiva Goswami says in Bhagavad Sandarbha, all analogies are partial. There is no perfect analogy. When Prabhupada describes using an analogy, obviously, are all analogies perfect? Absolutely not. But if we take an analogy as absolutely perfect and start applying it in every way, then we will obviously run into logical issues.
Then what is Swarupasana? Because we understand that we have eternal position in the spiritual world.
Yes?
And we retain that back.
No? What is Swarup Siddhi? Swarup Siddhi means your heart has a container right now. Is the container filled with a sthai bhav? No. When will it become filled with a sthai bhav? When you come in contact with a Mahabhagavata Bhakta, for the first time you get Krishna Bhakti, for the first time you experience bhava, that bhava ensures that your sthai bhav container is filled for the first time. That happens by the kripa of Bhakta and Bhagavan. And when it happens, for the first time you enter into the spiritual world. When you enter into the spiritual world, your body, which was eternally existing, but not yet activated. I hope does your body exist in the spiritual world right now? Yes, but it was not yet activated. That body is given to you. and that is when you receive your body in the spiritual world. So your body logically is anadi, but at this point of time, till now it has never been activated. But when you enter for the first time, it will be activated, and from then it will become ananta. Even for a moment, you will not disappear from the spiritual world. If you for a moment also disappear, like Kshanikvada of Buddhists, that is what sometimes we end up taking sides, we become Kshanikvadis. Kshanikvad is Bauddha philosophy. That in spiritual world, for Kshana, for one moment, you will don't take side with Buddhists or Adi Shankaracharya to justify claims. It's very important to understand. You will not for a single moment you will disappear. Not for a single moment. Should I prove the point also? That even for a moment you will not disappear from the spiritual world? Yes? Should we prove the point? Do we have time, Prabhuji? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, you said, according to Jiva Goswami, some souls are eternally inclined to Krishna and some were eternally Bahirmukha. So then why Prabhupada calls the conditioned souls as rebellious souls? If there was no choice to be made on the part of the Jiva, how come conditioned souls are labeled as rebellious? And he has also said that, he's acting against the constitutional nature of being enjoyed by Krishna. So, if that is the constitutional position, how come again he was Bahirmukha?
Why did Srila Prabhupada call the Jivas as rebellious if they had no choice? The Jivas are called as rebellious because after they enter into the material world, they are given Shruti, Veda, Gyan, in order to help them attain their Swarupa in the spiritual world. But even after receiving Veda, Gyan, some jivas are still rebellious. So that is called as rebellion. What interpretation do we take of rebellious? That interpretation is that they had a choice and they did not agree with the Supreme Lord. Not that. They still have a choice. Even today they have a choice, but many jivas are not taking to bhakti. Therefore they should be labeled as rebellious. In a prison, there are two types of prisoners. One who is following the correctional program. Is that prisoner called rebellious? Or is the prisoner who is misbehaving in the prison called rebellious? I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
So a person who is following the correctional program in the prison should not be labeled as rebellious. No authority will ever label such a prisoner as rebellious. But even in the prison, if somebody is not following the correctional program, that prisoner is labeled as rebellious. So that is the meaning of rebellious.
So, Prabhu, one more question. Sorry to change the topic. Going back to the expansions discussion where we discussed about Prakasha. So, we hear that all expansions are, or whatever different categories of forms Krishna has, they are eternally existing. And it's not that they came from Krishna at some point. Then, how do we also understand other statements like, one candle giving light to other candles?
That's an analogy.
Okay, and then if everyone was eternally existing, then why we call Krishna as the source of incarnation, and what is it that makes him the original personality?
Why do we call Krishna the source of all incarnations? There is Shakha Shakhi Nyaya. Traditional acharyas call it Shakha Shakhi. What is Shakha Shakhi? Shakha means branch. Shakhi means trunk. Okay. Now, if there is a tree which is eternally existing, still, even though the tree is eternally existing, which means both branches and the trunk is existing, still, the branches are supported by the trunk or the trunk is supported by the branches?
The trunk supports, yeah.
So, take it in another way. It is Shakha Shakhi, eternally existing tree with the trunk eternally supporting the branches.
Okay.
Better analogy?
Yes.
Shakha Shakhi.
Yeah, I mean, but still the branches grow out at some point, right?
No, I said na eternally existing tree. Therefore I said I have chosen my words very carefully.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Prabhu, sorry, I have one follow-up question. Somebody brought up Mahavishnu in the Kaushal ocean where all the souls are with Mahavishnu. So, I'm imagining there is a marginal thing. Souls are there. In Mahavishnu, souls are there. What the two different...
Those souls who are in Mahavishnu's body are the ones who have already entered material world. During destruction, they enter Mahavishnu's body.
Okay, okay. So inside the universe. Okay.
Universe.
I will not keep one person unhappy, so I'll give it to him.
Okay. But before that, before he asks a question, I would like to pull out a verse for half a minute. Yes? Because it is important to defeat Kshanikvad, that for a moment we disappeared from the spiritual world. Yeah, verse number 325, 37, 38. If somebody can, if this verse can be pulled out in your phones, 325, 37, 38. 325, 37, 38. 37 and 38. Prabhuji, can you read, somebody read 325, 37?
The Sanskrit proof?
English.
Thus, because he is completely absorbed in thought of me.
This is a devotee in the spiritual world, who has reached the spiritual world. Okay?
The devotee does not desire even the highest benediction obtainable in upper planetary systems, including Satyaloka.
Okay. Does he have any material desires in the spiritual world? No. Okay.
He does not desire the 8 material perfections obtained from mystic yoga. Nor does he desire to be elevated to the kingdom of God.
So he doesn't even desire that I should stay here. You know, he doesn't desire that I should be elevated here. Although he is there, he doesn't desire that this position should also remain. He has no desires whatsoever. Okay?
Yet, even without desiring them, the devotee enjoys, even in this life, all the offered benedictions.
Okay. And next verse, Prabhuji, can you read the translation?
The Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them.
Are never bereft of them. In the spiritual world, for one moment also, can you become bereft of them? Okay?
Because the devotees accept me.
No, you have not read the full sentence.
Sorry.
Never bereft of them.
Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences.
There lies the answer. There lies the answer. Can change of time bring a devotee from spiritual world to material world? We never fall from the spiritual world. It's 100%. Write it down. Stamp paper. Millions of dollars of worth. I will sign it. We never fall from the spiritual world. Prabhu, please read ahead.
Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time.
Even for half a moment. Iti.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My original question was something else, but now because of these topics, I'm just... So Prabhu, how then we reconcile the return of Gopakumar in Brigad Bhagavatamrita?
Gopakumar? Return?
When Krishna welcomes him, right?
Sure.
And I seeing you after so many, whatever lifetimes. So
No, read the original Sanskrit. Krishna doesn't say, I am seeing you after millions of years. Krishna says, for many lifetimes I have been waiting for you. You turned your back on me. For many lives I was waiting for you to turn towards me. But I tried my best to bring you towards me. But life after life you kept rejecting me. Finally, after all, because I could not do anything to bring you back, because according to my own rules, I can't interfere with your free will. Therefore, I could not do anything to change your free will. Therefore, I changed one thing. I appeared as your Guru Jayant. At least I can't change you. I can change your Guru. So I changed your Guru and I appeared as your Guru, Jayant. And when I appeared as your Guru in that life, which is this life, you finally turned towards me. Now you are here with me. Oh, Gopakumar, please stay here happily forever. This is Krishna's statement to Gopakumar. Yes.
So Prabhu, I know that this topic is kind of very debatable because there are two sides of it, right? And some say take a very neutral path. Okay, it doesn't matter whether I was ever with Krishna or never with Krishna. My thing is to go back in this life. It's kind of.
But I don't take that side because Siddhanta Baliya Chitte Na Karo Alas. That is alas actually.
More than alas, Prabhu, it is like kind of like it is an inconclusive kind of a thing, right? Because there is also a book written, not even a leaf falls from Goloka, and then there are two sides are given in both. Like there is a process. They're comparing. We were with Krishna, we were never with Krishna. Then we can also argue, right? If we are never with Krishna, then why? Then how we have any connection with Krishna?
Because you have a potential to experience rasa. Because you can be sheltered by Swarup Shakti. Even today, you may not have rasa. Does it mean you don't even have the container? Yes. All questions will be answered. But if one has sufficient time, today we don't have. But my position is not. I will always take sides. Why? Because the acharyas have taken sides. Why? Because even amongst Prabhupada's disciples, those who have explained the previous acharyas, they have taken sides with the previous acharyas. And Prabhupada has also on many occasions said the same thing as previous acharyas. It's not that Prabhupada has sided against them. Many statements are there where Prabhupada says one never falls from the spiritual world.
Right.
So somebody may say, ek vakya, therefore I am saying, how is one line of thought derived? 99 people are saying this thing. The 4 sampradayas are saying this thing. All the spiritualists are saying this thing. I hope you are able to understand. Not in any of the 4 sampradayas you will not find a single opinion like this. They all are aligned in this direction, that nobody falls from the spiritual world. Okay. And if Srila Prabhupada said something, there should have been a reason for saying it. But what was the reason? That reason can be discussed in another class. Why did Srila Prabhupada say what he said? But please know that all 4 sampradayas, everybody, okay, so many people quoted Srila Prabhupada. I want one person to quote Shastra also. Show me in Shastra.
So Prabhu, going back to 37, 38, I took a moment to comprehend what it is saying. But if we see again this translation, so it says, nor does he desire to be elevated to the kingdom of God. Now, and I'll finish the entire logic. So, despite of being present...
No, actually, there is a transition. In 37 is the Jivan Mukta, devotee. 38 is the devotee who receives mukti. So that is, I'm sorry if there was some mistake. 37 was the devotee who is about to get liberated in this world.
Okay. Okay.
38 is the devotee who reaches.
Got it.
Okay.
So if we look at 38, so it's the essence of what 38 is saying, the time factor, unlike heavenly planets, where time factor destroys his opulences against the will of the jiva. I want to be in the heavenly planet, but because my pious credits are over, the time factor destroys it. Here in the spiritual world, the devotee is saying neither weapons nor change of time can destroy such opulences. Right? So, so time is not acting over there.
No, time is acting.
But in
change of time doesn't...
Exactly. It does not diminish all these opulences.
Yes.
Right? And says, because devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. The condition is as long as the devotees accept him as his friend.
No, this is not It is not as long as till that time. If Krishna puts a condition of as long as till that time, then what is the point of saying the time doesn't, affect their opulences? It is not a question of as long as. Yavat and tavat is not in the verse.
But the condition is there because the devotee is accepting the Lord.
Since the devotee has already accepted me, the cause has already been fulfilled. It will never be undone. The sthai bhav is already there, it will always remain. So the effect, since the cause is permanent, the effect is also what? Permanent.
But if we look at the 37, we say he does not even desire. So it's a kind of a neutral. It's not that,
That is the position of the devotee is not yet in the spiritual world, but who has become eligible for spiritual world.
And so when one achieves the spiritual world,
right,
then he would desire, he would desire to remain there.
That is not implied in the verse. That you are extrapolating from the verse. Once he attains the spiritual world, obviously he has love. The only thing which he has is prema. He desires always to be dear to the Lord, always in the company of the Lord. So what is the harm in having that desire?
There is no harm. I was saying the question of free will.
His free will is centered around the Lord.
Okay.
That's all.
Krishna also says that.
That's very simple. It's so easy in the Bhagavad Gita. It's so easy in the Bhagavad Gita.
I didn't ask my original question.
All right. Okay.
So, Prabhu, this is regarding the Sahujya Mukti. As Jivas in a full potency experience Satchit Ananda, right? But in Sahujya Mukti, the Jiva can only experience Sat.
Okay.
Right? No Ananda because, or there is no Chit and there is no Ananda also. Because Jiva is all isolated, right? There is just hanging around the Brahma Jyoti with no form and things like that, right? And that's where
the Jiva, does the Jiva not experience Brahmananda?
Yeah, so that was my question. So when you say liberation is, you said it's a permanent thing, right? Right. So there is no coming back. So when Jiva is experiencing part of its potencies, right? There is no Chit, there is no Ananda.
There is Ananda.
In the Brahma Jyoti?
Of course.
But what form of Ananda? Because there is no association. We are just in
Sukham aham asvapsam na kinchid avedisham. That is the answer. Were you there in the previous classes? No, we explained. What is Brahma Sukh? Do you want to experience Brahma Sukh? You want to have an experience of what is Brahma Sukh? Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes in Vedanta Sutra, Sukham aham asvapsam na kinchit avedisham. हिंदी में मैं इतना सुख से सोया कि मुझे कुछ पता ही नहीं चला. I slept so well, so happily, I couldn't realize anything. Question is, how did you realize that you were happy? First sentence saying, Sukham aham asvapsam. I slept so happily. Second sentence says, Na kinchit avedisham. I did not realize anything. If you did not realize anything, how did you realize that you were happy? When in deep sleep, when one wakes up, each and every bodily limb is exuding happiness. That is the... But when does one realize it? In deep sleep or after waking up? After waking up. In deep sleep, all of the sense organs merge with, temporarily, it says temporarily they get the experience of merging in Brahma. So that is the experience of Brahmananda. In deep sleep, do you understand your own identity? Yes or no? No. Do you realize that you have senses? No. Do you realize what is your name, form, qualities, pastimes, anything related to you in deep sleep? Are you experiencing happiness? Question is being asked. Are you experiencing happiness? Happiness is being experienced, but it is the experience of merging into Brahma. That is, if you want to have a rough idea of what is Brahma Sukh, see what is Sushupti. That's a big discussion in Vedanta Sutra. I'm so happy all the devotees here are very learned. We are all taking up discussions on Vedanta Sutra. This is how discussion should be. All discussion should be like this. Huh? All right. These verses that I quoted, 3, 25, 20, 37, 38, these were quoted by whom? Did I find out these verses? Right, Kapila Munika. But how did I know that this verse is for proving this point? Who originally quoted them? In Bhagavad Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami quoted these two verses under the heading Tato Askhalanam. From the spiritual world there is no fall down. And these two verses were quoted by him. Try as much, now even if we try as much as we want, you are standing against Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. So choose your sides carefully and think about the verses. Jiva Goswami will explain it in very correct Tato Askhalanam. There is no fall down from the spiritual world.
Who is on Jiva Goswami's side?
Yes, thank you for... Yes, yes. Yes. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana bhidha nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. Bhakti Rasamrita Siddhu. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava. What is the purpose of sadhan? To invoke bhava in the heart. Is bhava invoked from an external source? If bhava is external to you, or is it a part of your existence? Part of your, how? Nitya siddhasya bhavasya. It comes from a nitya siddha devotee. And that bhava is received in your container. So you have the potential. So it is a part of your existence because you have the potential. And it descends from the heart of a nitya siddha devotee. Prakatyam, it only appears within your heart from a nitya siddha devotee. If you wouldn't have the container in your heart, then bhava is not an intrinsic part of you. But you have the container to receive bhava. Therefore, in that way, you were designed for bhava, actually. You were designed for bhava. If there are two cars designed, both cars have fuel tanks, but one of them doesn't have fuel, one of them has fuel. But both cars have the same design. I hope you are able to understand. Only one thing is needed. Just fill it with a particular fuel. It's not that you are designed without a fuel tank. You have that container within you. Only from a Mahabhagavat that bhava has to descend. Once it descends from a Mahabhagavat, your container will be filled. That is your sthai bhav. When it is nourished by vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav, vyabhichari bhav, that sthai bhav will turn into ras. That will be your permanent position towards Krishna. Right.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you, Parshada Prabhu. This first time you are coming, but it doesn't look like the first time. The engagement that is happening here, people are so enthusiastic and like Ishta Goshti, that's how it is going on, which is very nice. We welcome you whenever time permits, whenever you come to US, please keep this as one of the stops. And we can also have like a workshop kind of thing, given the enthusiasm. Most of the people are actually they read a lot. I can see by the questions you can understand. The Prabhupada, some of them are analyze every word of Srila Prabhupada. And they'll definitely benefit from a longer association and more like a Ishta Goshti kind of thing. So next time when you come, we can plan like a workshop kind of thing, and we'll go through that. And we definitely want you to come again. And Sri Sri Radhanila Madhav's mercy, and we pray to him so that you make progress in Krishna consciousness and spread the glories of what Srila Prabhupada started all over the world successfully. So with that, we normally say 3 Hari Bol, right? Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So Prabhuji is catching a flight tonight. His flight is preponed, I think, by 1 hour. So he has to leave by 11 o'clock, the flight. That means there won't be any evening class because time is very tight, given he's going to have lunch now after this. So if you have any questions and anything, I can share probably your email ID later, and you can all ask. No, wait, no. Yeah. So, yes, Prabhu. The 5:30 class here will be very tight, right? So, but if somebody has questions or anything, please contact Srinivas Sharan Prabhu. If you want to meet him before he leaves, he still have like 1 to 2 hours time. We reserved it, but not in the temple here, right? He has to go for lunch and then